So you also had your own story with, as a kid growing up with emotional eating too. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. And I think that, again, if we look at these moments in our life that just are transformative, that was definitely like a wake up call. But if you were talking to the 19-year-old version of me, I would have, I didn't feel like a wake up call, but I can now look back at it and see it that way. But, bless my mom, this is no criticism to my mom, but I was raised in a household where food was given as comfort. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we would come in the door after school. There would always be food waiting there. And pretty much typical response if you had a bad day was mom would say, you know what, let me cook you something. And she would sit down with you and give you food. So I was really like neurologically set growing up to understand that food was comfort. And my sister became quite overweight, and my mom had her on diets and trying to do all these things. And meanwhile, I was just growing up in this food is comfort world. And it really took me, that was like pretty much, my whole childhood, but it took this issue with chronic fatigue. It took going to chiropractic school. Like, it took me understanding the human body and what the nutritional needs were, for me to see that what I had been raised in was this comfort model. And I think that's kind of like the first most important thing, is that you got to understand that when you're reaching for food because it's going to soothe you, and when you're reaching for food because your body needs it. And I didn't have that understanding. It took me a long time to realize that food had different purposes, because I pretty much from 0 to 19 used food as comfort. And it takes, once you have the awareness, then you can put some tools together to undo that awareness. But it really took a crisis for me to wake up.
Well, that's why we're here, right? We're here to talk about all that. And I went through the same thing too. My family's Italian. So it's like, you having a bad day? Here you go. And it's all carbs and like,
all carbs,
and just comfort, right? So fast forward to now, you're helping people look at all aspects with a very powerful toolbox, from everything that you put yourself through with school and your own personal transformation story. So you're looking at functional nutrition, gut repair, heavy metal detoxing, ketogenic dieting, fasting, supplement cycling, corrective chiropractic care, mindfulness training, like all of those things, which we never knew or grew up with. And I know that that's a lot of information. So let's just rewind. We'll break it down for everybody. But, I really want to get an inside look on the clients that you've worked with in your experience with your healing journey, based on what you've seen with emotional eating. I just want to dive into it. Like, what the heck is going on, right? Yeah. What are the things we're not looking at?
Yeah. And I think what's really important, what got me out of the emotional eating, was understanding the human body. So, and I don't think you have to become a doctor to understand the human body, but it gave me another level of respect of like what my body needs, so that I can have all the things I was trying to solve with food, that I could solve by giving my body what it needed to feel balanced and normal. So that first step of understanding, like, oh my gosh, I'm eating not for nutrition, I'm eating for comfort. Then I landed in chiropractic school, where the premise of chiropractic is there's an intelligence inside the body that is working for you all the time. So from that point, it was like, okay, let's dive into like what that intelligence wants. And that fast forward to where we are today. And that intelligence actually thrives and will make you feel incredible if you don't eat all the time. So things, I know you've probably talked with many of your guests on fasting. It's like, if the body is not meant to eat all day long, the body is meant to have fasting and feasting cycles. It's not meant to be eating all day long. So that was kind of like the first thing I had to realize, is like, okay, if I want to make my body feel good, if I want to step out of some kind of emotional state, that actually fasting might actually produce me more happiness and might be in more alignment with what my body wants. And I've walked this path with a lot of people who are overeaters or emotional eaters, and they'll tell me like, that makes no sense to me, that if I restrict food, it feels like restriction. And if I'm restricting food, I'm restricting love, I'm restricting all
Mm-hmm.
these things. And my take on that is to flip it upside down and say, actually, you're giving your body a gift. You're actually working more in alignment with your body. You're actually getting your body to produce chemicals that are going to make you happier than the piece of chocolate cake made you in that moment. And once the knowledge goes in, then people go, oh, and then they experience it for themselves. And then you can change that whole eating paradigm.